Previously on the Star Wars.
Hey, Owen? I can't seem to find my, lightsaber. Well, where'd you put it? I, buried it in the desert, right between two big dunes. But I've looked there, and it's not there anymore. Ben, dunes shift. They what now? Shift. Huh. Yeah, dunes shift. You're never gonna find that again. Oh. Huh. Okay.
What do we do now? We run.
Great idea, yeah. No, get out of there, kids. What? That's not running. That's not run! Run!
If you behave, I will let you.
She insisted you would find it amusing, Your Highness.
She's either in the cellar, in the kitchen, or in the woods.
Oh, and by the way, you're all fired. You take orders from me, not the kid. Okay, that's a wrap. Good job, everybody. Make sure you clock out. And if you guys could just leave your workstations completely disorganized. Yeah, don't even bother cleaning up what we already have out on the assembly line. Just go ahead and leave that out to the elements. I don't know how jobs work.
I'm looking for my daughter, but she was taken, and she's on this planet.
Well, if she's here, you're never gonna see her again. Nobody leaves this place. I was someone's daughter once, too.
No, 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 no.
Why are you here?
For you.
Oh, no. A small child. However, will I be able to keep up? Oh, trees! My one weakness! Oh, man! Oh, more trees! Oh, my goodness, this is just... oh, man! Not another tree!
You think the less you say, the less you give away. But really, it's the opposite.
How old are you?
10.
You don't sound like you're 10.
Oh, you see, that's because the dialogue was written by someone who's never met a kid. We hire the best at Disney. Just grab her. Oh my gosh, not again.
Master Kenobi, wait a moment. In your solitude on Tatooine, training I have for you.
Training?
That's what he meant.
My dad could beat up your dad. Let's have a laugh.
In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for keeps?
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Radical.
Gone are the days of Pons and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello, and welcome back to the show, everybody. This is my favorite live stream that I do called Best Gen. The show's called Best Gen because it's a show where a bunch of nerds complain about nerdy things, and sometimes we have women. And the show's called Best Gen because we're all roughly from the same gen. We happen to think that it's the best, but we're very welcoming and accepting of people of all ages. It doesn't matter when you were born, just as long as you can acknowledge that the guy who made the Magic Eye books was definitely on drugs.
Oh, those are great.
You remember Magic Eye?
Yeah.
Could everyone do it?
Sometimes.
I could always get it to work, but I could never tell what any of the pictures were. I was like, well, this is just stupid. I don't know what I'm looking at. I see it, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, that is so sad. There were some cool pictures in there.
Well, yeah, no, and then I'd look at the back and I was like, yeah, kinda. It's just really hard to tell.
Oh, that's too sad. Too sad. Well, you know what, Alan? We're gonna have to take some of those, and we're gonna have to do them when I come up to Utah.
You know, I like doing it. It's a cool experience.
Yeah,
but most of the pictures are just like too detailed.
Just know that always it's a ship. It's a boat. It's a ship.
It's always a boat.
So yeah.
No.
That was a Mallrats reference.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It was one that I didn't.
I think I saw that on TV once, and it was edited.
It was one that I hadn't seen back when it would have been the normal time you would expect me to see it, but I saw it just a handful of years ago, so that's why it's a little more fresh in the head. But,
yeah, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
we've got some regulars on the show. We've got my cousin Jared in the bottom left, and we've got my not cousin other Jared in the bottom right. I think he likes Star Wars, and we've got a returning featured guest, my sister, the Stockholm nerd. She's called the Stockholm nerd because she wasn't always a nerd. She was actually kind of a prude. And then
that's rude.
Do you know what prude means?
Somewhat, but I think it's rude.
No, you used to make. No, it's not rude. It means you used to like look down on nerds.
I never looked down on nerds.
A little bit. Well, she married a nerdy boy husband, and he's force fed her nerd stuff.
Hey, that sounds like a pun, like a Star Wars
not
pun.
Forced. Again, I will repeat, not forced it upon me.
Right.
Invited and introduced it to me, and I realized how awesome it all is. Even though I was already a Harry Potter fan to begin with.
Is Travis jumping on the stream tonight, or just you?
He's watching it.
Oh, well, he's welcome to jump on camera if he wants to talk about some Star Wars.
I mean, that's here. I mean, as evidenced by.
Yeah. We're talking about the season finale of the Star Wars, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We'll also talk about some Raised by Wolves at the end, and I've got some experimental segments I want to try out today, which I think it will be entertaining. Did everybody watch Star Wars?
Yeah.
So the intro video, I tried doing the thing I did for Boba Fett, but I only got through the first 2 episodes, and I was like, "Oh man, there's so much more to make fun of. It's so much worse than Boba Fett." So I'll make some more in the future.
I think there's more to make fun of, but somehow yet it still ended up being much better than Boba Fett.
It was more. It was more. Here's the thing. Boba Fett was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Just like structurally made no sense, right? Mm-hmm. There was still a little bit of fun in it. Kenobi, though, is structurally much better, but I think it's more damaging to the franchise.
I disagree, but I do see that. I do see that argument around.
I think that its problems aren't just like base. Well, it does have basic filmmaking problems, but it's like more. I acknowledge that it is better made than Boba Fett is,
and
but I dislike it so much more than I did Boba Fett.
I agree with Jared that I haven't seen Boba Fett yet. I'm going to. But even though there were some kind of stupid things in Obi-Wan, I ended up enjoying it a lot. But Alan, I do think the clips that you just made were pretty hilarious. Some of the things you pointed out are very true.
The chase scene is just so
yeah. The tree.
Oh, like she literally like runs into a tree.
Yep. Yes, I agree. But Alan,
it's not hard to chase down kids
digging through the sand.
Their legs are half the size of our legs, which means they travel at half speed.
Yes, Alan, I agree. And also,
Tina, you know physics. You know physics.
Yes, I do.
You're a physics teacher.
Yes, you
majored in physics and you're a teacher now. You're not teaching physics though.
Well, I'm going to be a stay-home mom now.
Answer the question. So Tina, as a physics person, do adults run faster than little babies?
Yes, but actually, you know what I was thinking? The way I tried to justify that stupidness in that scene was that
you don't have to do that.
I know, but I liked the show, so I wanted to justify it. The people chasing her weren't necessarily humans, right? So I don't know. Maybe their species was didn't have as good of legs or running abilities. I don't know. But Alan, let me say,
this show way too much better than Tina.
Wait, what did you say? Alan, I didn't hear what you said.
That gives them way too much benefit of the doubt.
I'll argue that I'll go with that.
never
I'm
know.
not giving that credit to the show or the writers. I'm giving that credit to the Star Wars universe that I love in spite of them.
There you go. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what was
but
your
Alan,
point?
here's the thing. So kind of like how the last time I was on this show, I pointed out all these really stupid things in the Batman movie.
Yeah.
I'm not actually comparing it to that because the outcome was different. So for the Batman movie, there was all these stupid things, and it made me not like the movie because there was nothing else really good about it that made it worth it. Whereas Obi-Wan, there was a bunch of stupid parts, like not just like unrealistic parts. But regardless, I still loved the show a lot because it had a bunch of other great things. But I will point out one of the other really stupid parts was when there's like the gate that he has to get through with Leia, and like they could literally walk around it.
I haven't gotten to that episode yet. Yeah.
So I do think that was stupid.
We made fun of that a lot.
Yeah.
The thing is, it would have made sense for him to deactivate the gate if he was going to take the car. But they just started walking, and I was like, what? We made fun of that scene a lot, and I'm putting that one in.
I don't know. I don't think it's possible to walk on things that aren't established roads. It's just not possible. I don't know.
You might want to get that looked at, Jared.
Oh, and we're also joined remotely by Corwin in the chat. He's at work and can't get video, but probably won't be able to comment for very long. But that chase scene was pretty awful. So, before we get into the nitty gritty, I want to jump into some hot water, baby. I've got a new segment that I just want to say something. I feel like I have to say something in honor of Roe v. Wade. It is experimental. We'll get to the nerdy stuff. I just wanted to have a segment where I can talk about something incredibly nuanced without addressing any of the nuance, and just like basically being like incredibly reductive and just narrowing it down to just a little tidbit. So here's the stinger. I made a stinger for it. Here we go.
Incredibly nuanced.
Boom, baby. We're gonna talk about something incredibly nuanced. Abortion. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty. I just had one thing I wanted to say. I feel like there are a lot of like side quests in the debate regarding like pro-life and pro-choice, and a lot of different avenues you can argue and debate about. But I just wanted to talk. Like, I think it all boils down to, well, obviously Roe v. Wade has been overturned this weekend. It's been a pretty emotional week for both sides of the debate, I would say. And I think the whole thing boils down to, where does life begin, right? There's a lot of other things you can go into, but it's either if you believe that this is a human life or if you don't, basically. So I just wanted to say, my wife is expecting. She gives birth in 1 month with our third child, and it's been so beautiful watching ultrasounds and feeling this baby move, within my wife's stomach. And so you can debate up and down when life actually begins, but I feel like if you don't know, because we don't have a for sure answer, my opinion is I feel like you should err on the side of caution in case you're wrong. I'm going to have a third baby. So, debate about that in the comments. Tell me about your abortion facts, and let's start talking about some Star Wars, baby. This is
incredibly nuanced.
That's a good stinger, right?
You were saying you were going to talk about something incredibly nuanced while ignoring 99% of the nuance and just focusing on one minuscule aspect. And I was going to say, so basically just any political discussion.
Yeah, no, that's the point. That's the point of the segment. Maybe.
By both sides of all arguments, they make sure to not address any of the nuance 90% of the time they talk about it.
Yeah. So how do you guys like Star Wars?
They're trying my patience. They're testing me. They're trying to
really.
Push. Yeah.
Okay. Because you've been pretty much on board. I mean, we pointed out intricacies, but your opinion was until this last episode was net positive.
And I will still land on the side of net positive, but it's more and more coming to be a conscious decision rather than because I think that they did a great job of it.
Like you kind of have to work to like it.
A little bit, yeah, and I'm willing to, and I want to. I just wish that I didn't have to,
right?
Because as we've talked about before, and I do this with you can do this with the prequels, you can do it a ton with the sequels. That it's just really, really every now and then they make decisions that you're like, well, why did that? To me, I come away from it, and I'm sorry I jumped in first, but
no, go ahead.
I came away from it. Going into this that they can't change too much. It's like Solo with for why do we have this? For why do we need this? And honestly, the best answer is because people like Ewan McGregor and they want to see a character that they like. But and there wasn't a lot of room to play around, but there was things that they could do to make this show have a reason to be beyond the just because we like Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan. And I don't feel like we got anything of that. And
it didn't add anything.
It didn't. And it's just
anything that was added is stuff that you already knew with context. And then beyond that, some of the stuff that they added just breaks all kinds of stuff.
To me, I think in the end, one of the ones that frustrates me the most in terms of this feels like it ends up being without point was, and this aspect has a couple of other pieces to it, but the fact that Obi-Wan doesn't finish him off. He soundly defeats him.
The fact that Vader doesn't finish Obi-Wan off. He just buries it.
I was hoping that they were going to end it there because as much as and I see that Corwin is talking about it, how Obi-Wan will kick his butt. You were right, and most people were expecting that, and that's the way that it has always been in our head because we're used to the fight on Mustafar having been the last time. I contend that if Vader had walked away and thought that Obi-Wan was dead there, that still actually stands very well with canon, as I've talked about with the "when I left you, I was about to learn."
Right. Because they could justify that, because his line is "when I left you, I was,"
And then
I still don't like it, but it could have worked.
And then the way that they approach each other, there's obviously a little bit of like, whoa, what's going on here? I'm confused. I wasn't expecting to run across you at this point, 9 years after I apparently last saw you. And Vader would be thinking that because he thought that he killed him. And so now he's like, whoa, hang on a second.
But now it doesn't make any sense.
Now it doesn't make sense.
Now it doesn't make sense because his line is, when I left you, or when you spared my life on that weird planet.
Yeah.
I was the learner. Now I'm the master. It doesn't make sense.
The other thing is it's almost like with those flashbacks, because I've seen a couple of other articles that really tie a couple of the aspects to the flashbacks, and I'm like, they did so well, I think, in that episode.
There was one flashback.
Of the flashback in episode, was it 4?
Oh,
in the 4th episode of Obi-Wan.
Okay, so there's I guess there's the Order 60. There's Order 66 in episode 1, and then in episode 4 there's the duel. But that's really the only flashback.
Because they used that very well in episode 4 to help.
That was used well.
Yeah, to explain what was going on there and the ways that Vader wasn't being. But they didn't then reconnect that to, because that's where I'm seeing a lot of people making justifications for why Obi-Wan left him alive, because he was remembering the lesson that he taught Anakin about life. We're not meant to take life and not going for the win at all costs. It doesn't really track, but if that's what they were going for, they also didn't connect it.
If that's what they were going for, they could have said that's what they were going for.
And they could have not had him going to that duel saying, Master, one way or the other, only one of us is walking away from this, or whatever it was that he
not have ended the duel saying, "Well, my friend is dead, so I have no problem." He should have no problem killing him.
Yeah,
because the only thing that could be because. I mean, if you go back to the original trilogy, the sixth movie, the line was, Obi-Wan thought that there was good in him, and I think there was good in him too. But this contradicts that so much. He literally says, "Nope, there's no more good in you. My friend is dead."
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. It completely contradicts everything. But before we get too into details, I want to hear from Tina, because we said we don't think that this show added anything to what we already had. What do you think the show added? You disagree?
Well, I don't know if you mean that if it added information, but I think one of my favorite parts about it was learning about Leia as a kid, and also Luke. We learned a little bit about Luke as a kid, just learning their personalities. You could see a lot of how Leia, gained her bravery and her leadership and her sense of adventure and stuff like that, because she was like that as a kid, and she had already been exposed to all this dangerous, thrilling adventure. And I just really loved Leia in the show. I also thought, so she was really cute, but I also thought they picked a really, really amazing actress for her. I think that child actress was really good, and she looked a lot like the adult Leia. So I think that backstory was added a lot to the Star Wars universe, in my opinion.
I nothing against the actor. I think the dialogue that she was given was horrible, though.
How she sounded so much like an adult.
Yeah. Well, she has. Well, I get that she's a little bit more mature than most kids, but she didn't sound anything like a kid, and her attitude was, to me, it was insufferable most of the time, because she never listened to She just kept ignoring Obi-Wan, and if she had listened, she would have been safe. But she just kept, "No, I'm smarter than you because I'm an independent woman." But she's like, "I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man." And it just kept getting them into more trouble. And I was like, "But you're a kid."
I don't think she was trying to act like an independent woman. I think she was
it's a
just
joke.
a child. I think your own son Elliot has always been very smart and talked like an adult, in my opinion. Sometimes Elliot would say things that I'm but he doesn't. That was really smart.
He says very intelligent things, but he's not capable of psychoanalyzing people like Freudian style. When she talks to her nephew, you're lashing out because of your inner pain and your struggle, and you're like, what? And then when the same line that she gives to Obi-Wan, she's like, no kid would ever say this, no matter how mature you are.
But for me, it was she was insufferable, but in the way that for me worked. It was a little annoying, but like a 10-year-old that is overly precocious and will eventually become the snarky Leia that we know would be. So it didn't bug me too much, but I definitely agree that she was very bratty, and in ways that I didn't always think were the best, but it still worked very well for me, and I think she did a great job of it. To Tina's point, I don't
think it was her acting. I think it was the dialogue. I think if you had a better dialogue writer, they could have done the same thing and have her been spunky and it would have made more sense. But I'm picky, so. So what else did it add? Just stuff from
You asking me? That was the main thing that I thought of. I mean, if I took a moment to think about it more, I could think of more probably. Because
my problem with what it adds with Leia is that it also contradicts the original trilogy with the way she talks to Obi-Wan like she doesn't know who he is. But there's no way she could have forgotten something this traumatic from her childhood.
So I don't remember every single thing in the other movies because I've only watched all of them through once. Because like you said, I'm new to this. But I do remember when Leia, she makes the hologram saying, "Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope." So doesn't that mean that she does?
So the dialogue there, she says, "Obi-Wan Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars, and he is once again asking for your help. So help us."
Okay.
It's pretty obviously you can jump through hoops and say oh, she's saying this and that, but it's very clear that she's addressing someone she's never met before.
But I would say when she says, "Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope," that makes it sound like she does know him.
But that's the end of the sentence. She says, "My father said you're our only hope."
I don't know. I'd have to go back. But I'm sorry I interrupted you, Jared. What were you saying, Jared?
I didn't have anything. I was just kind of adding that same like, to me, it didn't feel like it. It was, we had assumed that she was talking to somebody, and it feels like that. But it does seem like she would have addressed the fact that they have met and spent some time together. But I don't think that the dialogue in A New Hope suddenly actually doesn't make any sense. I think it's like it would have made sense for her to bring it up, but to me, it's not like, oh, there's no way she wouldn't have brought it up.
Right.
I think there are ways for that to work, but I agree it wasn't great, but yeah.
I do have a question/comment because So, for example, in your
I know everything. I have all the answers. So please ask away.
So in the clips that you made, Alan, when you were like making fun of how he was trying to find his lightsaber in the sand dunes, which I do think was hilarious that you did that, because when I was watching the show, I first thought that too. I was like, "There's no way he could find his lightsaber in the sand dunes." But then Travis said, "Well, it could be the Force."
We talked about it on the show. He's probably sensing through the Force the Kyber crystal, but that's also contradicted because he can't use the Force.
He seems to be failing with using the
Well,
Force.
it didn't say he can't use the Force. It said he
couldn't move a box.
Rusty.
He couldn't
He
move
was
a
rusty.
little box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but who are we to say that moving a box with the Force requires less strength than finding something in the sand dunes? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have the Force. I think it could potentially be easier to find something in the sand dunes because you're just like, it's like, oh, look, I feel like it's over there. That's it.
We talked a little bit about it as the idea of a passive ability versus an active ability. Yeah. He was really struggling a lot with those active abilities, but that again, that maybe he could have that passive sensing ability.
Yeah, but if he has the ability, then my joke doesn't work.
Yeah.
But the joke was funny.
Stop talking about it. You can't find kyber crystals with a Force. Okay.
Okay, but this is my question. So, Alan. So my question is, could Leia, as a 10-year-old, be so intuitive because of the Force?
Which is what a lot of people are saying, and I completely disagree because if you go by what even Disney has established, she didn't even start using the Force until after the original trilogy is over.
No,
maybe not to her knowledge.
Before Disney made the sequels, she started training more, and she actually became a Jedi, but she never even touched the Force until after the original trilogy.
Well, that could be to her own knowledge.
But she could sense things. Like when Luke tells her that they're brother and sister, she's like, yeah, I kind of somehow always knew. So she felt it. There's obviously some Force influence, but
that could have been her intuitive.
She hasn't used it at all. I don't know.
I
have that strength as a child, and then for it not to develop at all into her adulthood, it doesn't make sense.
Wait, Jared, what were you saying?
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you that, like, for me, it works that to me that she would maybe not have been aware of the specifics of it, and I agree that it can make you question it. I think that it's something that could do with a little bit of a better explanation or a better connection, but it wasn't something that bothered me in those situations. Yeah.
Travis, you're ruining my joke. I know you can force kyber crystal. They did it in the video game. Okay.
The biggest reason that it comes to maybe a potential
in Fallen Order, the video game, you had to reach out with the Force to find your kyber crystals, but stop bringing it up.
Okay, what else were you saying, Jared?
Just I don't know. I'm kind of circling on a bunch of things. We're kind of all over the place, but
yeah, we are.
Even more so than usual.
Jared won. What did you think of the show, man?
I really like the finale. There's definitely some canon issues, but overall, like, I enjoyed watching it. For example, there were several scenes, and this is kind of referring to last episode as well. Like, everything with Darth Vader has been freaking awesome. Like, there's like last episode, he literally like destroys a ship with the Force. He's just like, he just like rips it apart.
And the way he just owns Reva.
Yeah, and he just like destroys it. So it's so cool.
Well, that was my favorite scene because I hate Reva's character, and so I was like, "Oh yes, yes, oh so good, so good." Just disrespect her.
Anyway, but yeah, so like it's been really cool, especially these last episodes, to see how much power like Vader has with the Force, like tearing that ship apart, and not even just like seeing the power, but each of those shots have been really artistic, right? And then seeing a lot of that stuff in this next episode too. Like there is so much artistic sort of nuance that has been put into these sort of battles between him and Obi-Wan and things like that that I have really appreciated a lot. Like they're really cool how they did it.
I thought he was kind of stupid in episode 3. I did not like Vader in episode 3, but I will admit that the last 2 episodes, at least Vader was cool.
Yeah.
Until the last moment where he just until he spares Reva's life. He doesn't kill her, and then he doesn't finish off Obi-Wan either. Makes him look really stupid. And the other contradiction in the final episode, like I liked the fight scene was okay, and then it was cool to see Obi-Wan finally be powerful with the Force again. But then once Obi-Wan was powerful, Darth Vader became just like his power level just dropped.
Yeah,
instantly. Like he was getting hit with rocks, and I was like, "You just tore apart a ship, and you can't stop a couple rocks."
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Like I was like he was just getting beaten around like a little baby, and I was like, Vader would have put up a much better fight. Like, but I get that they needed to have Obi-Wan, beat him up and win the fight, but I thought by the end of it, it made Vader look a little stupid.
I agree, but I wonder too if like there's this sort of imbalance or this balance that happens in the Force, right? So it's kind of like, hey, like you can't like
he's using Obi-Wan is sucking up too much Force, and so
right. So it's like Obi-Wan's taking all of this energy from the rocks and all of that.
But except the Force is internal; it's midichlorians inside your bloodstream. So that's not how it works.
But it's a connection between you and your environment, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I wonder if
there's
that connection where Obi-Wan's maybe connecting more with the environment, which makes it less probable or less possible for Vader. I don't know, but I thought the same thing. All I'm trying to say is I'm trying to explain it away, but I thought the same thing where I was like, okay, now Vader's like a little weaker for some reason.
Yeah, his abilities disappeared.
But
why does he not kill Reva, and why does he not kill Obi-Wan? Stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah, there's definitely some issues.
Vader has never been one to show compassion. He kills people who misspell his name. Right? He's like, he chokes people to death who he works with. Right? Right?
Yeah.
With Reva, at the very least, I think that
for some reason he leaves his enemies alive.
With Reva, I felt like it didn't bother me too much. I was still like, you've done this twice with her, but it doesn't bother me.
Right, 3 times. Sorry, 3 times.
Because
Reva twice and Obi-Wan once.
At the very least, with her, I think we have seen that he disrespects her so much that he's like, I don't even care. Like, I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to stab you, but you're not even worth finishing off. You're not even worth as much to me as those military.
Then why is she worth stabbing? Why is she worth stabbing if she's not worth finishing off?
Well, to stop her from coming at him, just enough to be like, all right, I'm done with this, and let you know, okay, yeah, I don't care about you. You are worthless. You are now pointless to me. I don't know. I agree. I think it would have been better if he had just lopped off her head. It would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, but this is an explanation. This is a possible explanation that unfortunately the show didn't give. That could have worked and explained everything if they did that in the show. If they showed him, like by the end, once his mask is cut, you see that he's emotionally imbalanced. But you could have showed him getting more getting more aggressive with his attacks and slipping up. But they didn't do that.
Yeah,
Corwin's got an interesting thought there too that I think could play into it. As much as he denies it, there is I think truth there.
Yeah, and so I think that was just beautiful though. I really liked that conflict, and then when he like cut the mask, right, and he was like talking through the mask. I thought that was really well done. Where literally like you could hear Anakin trying to say stuff, right, but then it would also go through.
Yeah, the modulation between
Yeah.
Anakin and between Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones's voice was done. The sound design was done well. The
Yeah.
scene, however, was completely ripped off from Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, I feel like Rebels did it better.
It's done way better in Rebels.
I loved it in Rebels, and actually somebody just shared with me.
I haven't even watched Rebels, but I've watched that scene.
Yeah, so somebody shared with me a TikTok video of they'd animated a scene from like an unpublished Clone Wars scene of Obi-Wan and Anakin that would have been post Ahsoka leaving and them talking and Anakin really struggling with Ahsoka having left. And Anakin it was just a beautiful thing. I might actually post a link to it in the chat because it was a really cool thing to show the like how disappointed would you be in me if I decided to turn my back on everything that I knew, like he was feeling Ahsoka had done to him, and it gave a lot better version of that emotional like that. Hey, we were connected. You trained me, and therefore how disappointed would you be in me if I fell? Just like I am feeling conflicted and mad about myself having failed Ahsoka kind of thing. And then again, Rebels does a great job of Ahsoka looking at him and feeling so, burned and frustrated about the fact that this man that taught her so much about being good, about using the Force, would turn his back on everything that he had taught her and that he had been and believed. So, yeah. I thought lifting all the rocks was kind of cool. Him lifting all the rocks was kind of cool. We gotta like, see, Ray, I can do it too.
Oh yeah, I liked that. Someone who wasn't a Mary Sue got to do something like that. Which is funny because I actually I was a complete defender of that movie, the Last Jedi. But
I didn't have a problem with that scene. I had a problem with the very slow speed chase through space.
That part. Even though I love that movie, it was the pacing was a little weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
Christina, what were you saying?
I was just gonna. I liked what Jared had been saying. I haven't finished watching the Clone Wars yet. I'm currently watching that TV show, so I haven't seen that part yet. But I liked,
which is even better
from Rebels.
Yeah.
But I liked what you were saying, even though I haven't seen that part. So that's all I was gonna say.
It's beautifully done. Honestly, the end of season 1 and the end of season 2 of Rebels is just.
I can't wait to watch them.
Well,
very good.
I think it's a good a time for me to get into all my little nitpicks.
Oh, before you get too far into that, I was going to say, as much as I didn't want Reva to be redeemed, I was hoping that she would die as villainous as she was in turning her back on Vader, which I contend was her being willing to betray Vader was not being good. It was just her being a different evil than Vader and wanting to take it out on him. It actually ended up working out for me. I remember from the first episode we were talking about Obi-Wan, Corwin was even saying that, hey, there's that message of redemption that's always there. And even though it wasn't perfect and I wished it had been done, it had not gone that way, I think that she sold it really well and I was okay with it. Except in the general concept of now there's just another trained Force-sensitive user out there when we thought that Luke was
I think her redemption could have worked if her motivation made more sense. The problem is her motivation going into that fight to kill Luke is non-existent. Why
is it super unclear? Yeah.
If her ultimate goal is to want revenge on Darth Vader, on Anakin for killing her friends and stabbing her, why does she care about Luke? She saw the message from Bail Organa saying, hey, the kid that we're trying to keep safe from that person that Reva really hates is on this planet and he's important. So then she gets disrespected by Anakin and then decides to go help him.
Yeah.
It makes no sense why she's trying to kill Anakin. It's because of those reshoots that we talked about last. If they had kept her motivation, just I hate everything, right? If she wasn't actually trying to get revenge on Anakin the whole time, but had just been corrupted by the dark side because of the hatred in her, and maybe and she just wanted revenge on all Jedi or something for putting her in the position where she got hurt, right? Like her motivation for not liking Obi-Wan Kenobi or being obsessed with him doesn't make any sense at all. It's because he wasn't there. Like he was being attacked too, right?
I still chalk that more up to the fact that she knew that Kenobi was something that would get her closer to Vader.
Yep, but then she keeps pursuing it after she's had her chance with Vader. It just doesn't make sense, right? But if her, sorry, go Tina.
Well, I also was confused when she was going to kill Luke. I was like, why does she care about Luke? But then I think Travis also gave his opinion on this, but both of us were thinking maybe it's just because, if Vader ever did find out that he had a son still, and that he was murdered by her, he'd be mad.
She didn't know it was his son.
That's
true.
If she did know it was his son, that's even worse.
Wait, so what did the message say again? I don't remember.
Just said, hey, the boy that we're trying to keep safe from Vader is on Tatooine, and I'm going to show up there if I don't hear from him.
Things like if he's found out about the children, there's extra danger. I'll head to Tatooine with the boy and Owen. So like little pieces that
literally all she knows from that message is there is something that they are trying to keep from Vader on Tatooine. And so her motivation for going there is completely counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she just
if she was going there to find out what it was, but she just tries to kill Luke.
Although
it doesn't.
Who knows? Maybe she did go there to just find out. We just didn't get that communicated either because she shows up.
But that's not what it was because she's trying to kill him.
So once he runs away, she is, but and once everybody's already shooting at her, but maybe she was showing up to be like, "Hey, tell me about what's going on here," but they're already shooting at her.
We got a core win. So
I'm here with the Star Wars.
I think the way that it could have worked.
That's right.
If they kept it how they had originally planned it, and not have Reva trying to hunt down Anakin, because that's stupid. She should have officially been turned, right? She should have been, tortured as a youngling and turned to the dark side and corrupted with the dark power. And so this whole time she's hunting down Obi-Wan like it was originally planned to gain rank, right? To gain approval from Anakin. And then in the last scene where she's going to kill Luke, she's like, I'll finally get approval from something, from dark. And then you can do that same flashback where she sees herself in him and she realizes, and that could be the moment where she breaks her conditioning. That would have made way more sense.
And I don't know. I still feel like she was actually corrupted and she was hunting Vader. I don't think that those are mutually exclusive.
The show completely played it off like, she was good the whole time.
I completely disagree. I don't think that they played it, or if they are going
she was not good the whole time, but she was a double agent. The only reason she was doing all this stuff was so that she could get close to Vader, so she could kill Vader.
Yeah, but that doesn't make good.
It doesn't make sense.
Corrupted by the dark side because she is doing so out of a sense of vengeance, out of a sense of anger and hate. So I still think in no way, shape, or form was she a double agent. She wasn't going to kill Vader and then start helping the rebels. She was going to kill Vader probably to take his place or to then have her own power, or like she didn't know what she wanted to do.
It contradicts
Vader.
If you do that, it contradicts itself because their motivation for killing Obi-Wan was only to gain ranks because she was a double agent
and more access to Vader.
It didn't give her a good enough reason to hate Obi-Wan.
I think that they could have presented it a lot better, but that's absolutely the way that I read it.
They definitely could have had him like talking to her and say, hey, or he could have been the one that brought her in, right? As a youngling and saying, hey, we'll keep you safe.
I
And then
don't-
that promise is shattered when 66 happens, and so she has a personal vendetta against Obi-Wan and against Anakin. That could have worked.
I don't think she hated Obi-Wan.
But
I
then
think
why was
I think she hated the Jedi. I think she had
Didn't say that.
They had let her down at least. So I'm agreeing with other Jared and Christina on this one.
Mhm.
I think it was so traumatic, and she saw her masters die. She saw all the younglings die. She saw and so the Jedi had let her down because they were supposed to be this. People look at the Jedi like these grandmaster wizards that are invulnerable, right?
Mm.
And suddenly she wants to become that, and suddenly they're not. But
that could have worked.
So the Sith. I'm just saying. This is how I read it. This is how I read it. So she hates the Jedi because of it, because they shattered her illusions and her dreams, and then she realizes the
They didn't
Sith
do that,
are
though.
more
Anakin did.
powerful because of that whole thing. But at the same time, she hates them for it because they shattered her dreams, and she utterly despises Anakin, knowing Anakin is Vader. And that's why she's hunting Obi-Wan, because she knows Anakin. She would have known Anakin and Obi-Wan were master apprentice.
Mhm.
Everybody knew that. All the Jedi knew that.
Yeah.
So she knows that Vader absolutely despises Obi-Wan, and that's her best chance to get revenge. And then I would agree with what Jared said, that he wants to, at that point, become the next Vader, or have her own power, essentially, and create what she wants. That's how I read her entire character. I'm not saying she was the best character, because she was actually, in my opinion, the worst actress in the whole thing, but that's because she's a classical actress who plays on Broadway and not in front of the camera, and it shows. And once that was brought to light, that you guys talked about, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense.
It actually worked really well. Her moment where she was saying, am I him? She acted that very, very well, and she finally wasn't at a 10 and trying to be angry the whole time. And that worked for me, and I think that sold her return, her redemption a lot better to me than it would have otherwise. Personally,
the problem is all of this is headcanon because they didn't give her a motivation. But there are 100 ways that they could have justified it, and it could have worked if they would have told you what she actually wanted.
And I'll her in series, though, unfortunately.
Yes, she's getting a spin-off series.
I agree completely with Jared and Corwin, because Alan, I think sometimes it's kind of like an art piece or like a poem or something. They don't want to tell you everything straight out. They want you to like read into it and figure things out. So even if they didn't like tell us straight up, this was all of her motivation and the reasoning behind all of it, because they kind of maybe wanted it to be a little bit of a mystery that we have to figure out. But I do think I completely agree with Jared and Corwin. I also do think, though, that she was not the best actress. Like the part in, I don't know, episode 2 or 3, when he like flies away on the ship with Leia, and she's like, "I'll stop you," or I don't remember what she said.
You can't run from us.
Yeah, I think that was very, very bad acting in that part. Anyway, that's all I was going to say.
Her motivation was clearer than Boba Fett. Travis has got a good point.
She's a classic actress. That's what it is. She's a Broadway actress. Mm-hmm. She's played on Broadway. And if you've seen multiple Broadway shows, I had the opportunity when I was a high school student to live New York City. We went and saw a whole bunch of Broadway shows. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense, because that's how they act. Because
that is how she's on screen. That is how she's acting. She's acting like she's on a stage.
For the back row.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. But I'm going to agree with Christina on this 100%. Every time she came on camera, I was like, oh, crap, I've got to endure her again. Yep. Every time. There wasn't – the only time I enjoyed her was the mini conversation she had with that door between her and Obi-Wan in the 5th episode. That was the only time that I was like, I wasn't annoyed with who she was. Mm-hmm. The only time. Even her screaming fight with Vader, where she gets her butt kicked. I was like, oh my gosh, it's awesome that Vader absolutely annihilates her, but she is so.
It didn't move me quite as much, and I would argue that this specific aspect I don't feel like is particularly headcanon-y, like what you were talking about there, Alan. There are a lot of things that I do with a lot of headcanon in the way that but I felt like it was pretty well established that she was just there to take out revenge on Anakin and hadn't really thought any beyond that. She was mad at Obi-Wan to some degree because he was her master.
Okay, that's
so, like,
fine, but then why does she go to kill Luke?
Yeah,
that doesn't track.
That is something that I don't think that they connected those dots enough either.
At all.
Yeah, saying that she was able to then piece together that that's his son and that would somehow hurt him, even though it might not. But she would think that,
and that's the point where we get like, there are ways you could have explained it, but
and the fact that she magically teleports to Tatooine, and
she's like fine, It made it worse because she teleported to Tatooine, and then it cut to the rest of the people, and no time has passed.
Yeah.
They're getting chased in space, and you're like,
"Yep,
what?"
and then Obi-Wan does teleport to Tatooine. I think that it's
but they showed him going into Lightspeed at least.
Yeah, they did at least show that. But for me, it's definitely one of those things where they present it like they're happening at the same time, where she's on Tatooine and he's over there doing his fight with Vader, but they don't actually line up time-wise. They didn't show that. That was poorly done, but that's how I'm saying it. Because
it cold opens with Reva, and I was like, wait, how much time has passed? I was like, how much time has passed? Is this like a month later? And then it cuts to the other guys. I was like, oh, no time has passed?
It honestly only even has to be like a handful of hours later. It doesn't even matter if it's like a month later. It could be, a day later.
Okay.
But then we also cold cut straight back to, it's also moments after.
Yeah, and speaking of the Star Destroyer chasing down the tiny transport, that was stupid. The animation on the transport, it's like jerking around like this. It's flying like a fighter jet, and then it cuts to inside, and people are like, "This is a nice little cruise line." Like everyone inside that ship would be dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you could move that fast and keep like
sci-fi logic. They've got inertial dampeners.
No, it's not. It's not consistent. That's not what Star Wars has done. They've actually been very consistent.
Yeah.
The big ships move slowly and maneuver very slowly, and small ships can dogfight.
There's a really easy explanation for this.
They didn't.
All you have to do is pull a purple-haired woman and turn the one that does have a hyperdrive and go light speed into the Star Destroyer.
But that was a one.
That would kill Leia. You can't kill Leia.
Just turn to be like, oh, this one has and this one doesn't. So we're just going to turn around and poof, and then we're going to land back on the planet with the one that doesn't have it. We'll fix it because we've annihilated everything. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm getting into Kennedy. I'm getting into Kathleen Kennedy logic. I apologize.
It also just they have no idea how to build tension at all, because they're like, oh, this ship's in danger and it's getting shot at, and then they cut to inside and everyone's just like having normal conversations, like the music like drops down too and does it is like sweet swelling stuff, and you're like, talk like you're in a hurry. And they kept saying like, oh, how much time do you need? And the guy's like, more time than we have. And like, but that's not an answer though. Like Obi-Wan was asking for a specific answer, so he knew how much time he needed to stall. And then it cuts to like, okay, I'm gonna go. And then like 3 cuts later, he's still on the ship and he hasn't left yet. He's like I there was no hurry. There was no tension at all. And then and also, why isn't the Star Destroyer capable of shooting down this tiny transport? And if they can't aim, why didn't they send fighters?
Yeah.
None of it is consistent with anything that's ever happened in Star Wars before.
Hey, Alan. I kind of assumed the reason why all the shots were not hitting the actual small ship were similar to the reasons that
because
they were going to hate me for forgetting what they're called. But the other things that always miss, the
stormtroopers.
Yeah, the stormtroopers. Okay.
Oh, it's funny you should bring that up, Tina. It's funny you should bring that up. We might have to segue into some bad takes.
Ooh.
Oh, baby. Let's see. Oh, we got to do it. Tina,
we've kind of already talked about Star Wars.
We've talked circles around all of it. Yeah.
Let's go into the bad takes. That's a perfect segue.
Your comment triggered my trap card because we got to do screen.
Screen rants. Bad takes.
Boom, because here we go. Screen Rant's got like 6 articles justifying the Kenobi show and saying, nope, it was the original trilogy that was wrong. Kenobi justifies Obi-Wan's most mocked line in A New Hope. The path clashes with it with Imperial stormtroopers in Episode 5, justifying an often mocked line that Obi-Wan says. Remember, in Episode 4, he says, "Oh, this could not have been Sand People because the blaster things are too accurate." But then that line is mocked because they can't shoot for beans in them, and they keep missing. But Episode 5 guys justified this line. Because in the scene where they attacked the rebel bunker, apparently their shots were really precise, and they killed a bunch of the reb.
Didn't they kill like 2 of them?
Did these guys watch the same show? They only showed 2 people die.
Yeah, I only saw 2 people die.
They only showed 2 people die.
They were like pulled away, like still alive. Like a trooper gets shot in his armor and he's like down and dead. But then another person gets shot like right in the neck, and he's
watched it again.
Just like drag him back.
I watched it again. They show at least 20 Imperial troopers get killed. They showed 2 rebels die.
Yep.
2.5 if you count the robot.
Yeah. But apparently,
what are they talking about?
That they can all fit on that other ship that apparently wasn't big enough before.
What are they talking about?
It would have been a massacre. It would have been so much better if there would have been a massacre. And then they all
should
fit
have
on the
been.
ship.
You know, the thing that frustrates me the most is
what are look? Can you believe this article? They're actually trying to say, "Oh, it was great because they killed so many."
They killed 2.
I'm dumbfounded.
You know, the thing that actually bugged me the most was back in Mandalorian when they hung a lantern on the stormtroopers being terrible aims, because up until then in universe the only things we had heard was that they're too more precise than stormtrooper than Tusken Raiders, and then the fact that they never hit our protagonists just is consistent with every other action thing where our protagonist is never hit by the bad guys.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they're good at shooting or not, they can't hit the protagonist because of luck. I don't know.
It says the rebels were quickly wiped out because.
Well, but that's in the actual New Hope. Because they're talking about in A New Hope, it opens with this similar thing. And so they actually justified it right there.
Yeah, they did it well in A New Hope. They actually killed a bunch of people in A New Hope.
They couldn't hit our protagonist, but they could hit just about anybody else.
But they keep saying the Obi-Wan series has proved how dangerous they are, but they don't show any of their work.
Yeah, not at all. That's a pretty bad take.
Okay. Bad take. Should we just do all of them?
Let's just go for it.
There's one that's not Star Wars. Rogue is officially leaving the X-Men to team up with her mother's. Her mother's what? Her mother's team?
Or is it saying she has 2 mothers?
Oh, I'm stupid. That's a joke.
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I knew that she had Mystique, but I didn't know.
They're making Mystique and another person her mom.
Mystique and Destiny her mom.
So
no, I was doing this. I was doing the thing that I did with the It jokes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was because
it's not funny when you have to explain it.
It's a bad take because
it's funny. It's a callback. But it's funny. Trust me, I'm really good at jokes. Okay, Darth Vader's
because they missed an apostrophe there.
They did, yeah.
The typo.
Darth Vader's Imperial March gains a whole new meaning after Obi-Wan because they didn't use it until the last scene when he officially became Darth Vader.
Oh,
it's iconic, and they didn't use it until the finale, which creates a new layer of meaning for Darth Vader's Imperial March.
So deep. That's the problem. They just dig so deep. And I know I'm saying that as a person who is like, I live and breathe Star Wars.
They are scraping really hard to justify the show.
I could go change up my whole outfit right now. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I dig deep.
I love Star Wars.
But this is so like...
They're scraping at the things that don't need to be scraped at. It's like, I was talking to my brother, and he was saying, "Oh, I saw articles that were talking about how the show explained why Leia and Luke are so good with blasters," and I'm like, That wasn't anything that needed to be
Oh,
explained.
you mean because Luke got knocked out
because Owen and Beru have blasters and therefore they would have taught him.
Oh, that's
They
why
know how to
Luke's
use
so
them, and
good at
therefore
blasters.
Because farmers never know how to use blasters or guns of any kind, and guns.
No, we don't. We have no idea. None.
Yeah,
but
that's the thing. I am more
would you agree
frustrated.
that most people have been complaining that the Imperial March wasn't used earlier.
Yeah, and Vader was not made more officially Vader at this point.
But no, he was. Jared, this is where you're stupid. You're dumb because he was still a learner.
Apparently, he still is.
Right, because he didn't leave. Because he didn't leave Obi-Wan at the end. Right, so he's still a learner. So they shouldn't have done the Imperial March.
Yeah,
he isn't Vader
definitely.
yet. He's still a Padawan until he learns his lesson. Because they put that line in there. Remember, he's still a Padawan.
Still hasn't learned his lesson. Yes, I don't know.
I hate this. Okay, why Obi-Wan didn't kill Vader in Kenobi Episode 6?
I read through this one and I was
because he's stupid. Moving on.
That's the one that I was referencing earlier in terms of they're trying to use that flashback scene in Episode 4 to explain this one when they didn't do anything to actually connect those. So Screen Rant is trying to connect them, whereas the show did not at all.
Yeah, no, it's headcanon. You can fill in all the blanks you want, but that doesn't make the show that didn't justify anything all of a sudden good.
But Screen Rant's really terrible about it. Like, at least when I try to make some headcanon, it makes sense. Their headcanon doesn't work at all.
Once again, Kenobi finale fixed the original trilogy and Darth Vader lines plot holes.
Which one are they talking about?
I'm trying to remember. The original, it's shoot. I went over these so I would remember. It's oh yeah.
Yeah.
I read this one. Oh, it's so crap. It's so crap. It fixed this. No, they explain it. They explain this.
Oh, it's explaining the line why Obi-Wan says so for technically I did tell the truth when he tells Luke that Darth Vader killed his father.
Yeah,
in the Obi-Wan series, in Obi-Wan, he says, it's not your fault. I killed Anakin Skywalker because it's like a split personality thing. Like Vader killed Anakin.
Yeah,
it was completely unnecessary. Although this is one of those things that they did in the show that was some of the least egregious of the like. Okay, cool. Now it's not just Obi-Wan coming up with that Vader himself sees it that way.
Cool. I didn't mind that line, but this doesn't fix the original. Like,
it wasn't a plot hole.
Yeah, it wasn't a plot hole.
It was never a plot hole. He explains it in the next movie. He says, "Yeah, I told you he was dead," and he literally tells you this.
Yeah, he says, "I told you that Anakin or Darth Vader killed Anakin." This, like he said, and then he says, "So what I told you was true." Quote from a certain
point of view. Yes.
Right. I haven't seen that episode, and I haven't seen episode 6 in probably like 4 or 5 years, and I can still quote that thing.
But once again, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is fixing the original trilogy
because
making it better.
Stupid. Who
it's
wrote
not.
this?
It's not Kenobi that's wrong. It's the original trilogy.
Glazebrook.
Louis Glazebrook.
You're a moron. Next.
Yeah.
Okay. This one just makes me laugh. Star Wars retcons emotional scene from Return of the Jedi. The scene where he takes off his mask at the end and he's got a little scar on his head. When in Kenobi, you see the scar is where his helmet got cracked. And so in Kenobi, that's how he got his scar. That's not a retcon.
Yeah,
that's not what a retcon is. That's actually something the show did well.
It's an Easter egg.
As a new nerd, what is a retcon?
A retcon is when you retroactively take something and change canon. This is the opposite of a retcon, you morons.
I will say that technically a retcon is being retroactive continuity, and therefore they retroactively put that together. However, 99% of the time when we say retcon, we mean they made it so it wasn't what it used to be. This one is we retroactively finished connecting something that was already there without changing anything. We just actually explained why it's there. So
yeah, they actually paid attention for once, and they like this. I applaud the show for this. That was a good attention to detail.
Yeah,
it's an Easter egg. It's a detail.
It's an Easter egg. It's an
Easter egg.
Oh, remember how last week we talked about that one stupid article that we didn't even bring up, that the show is brilliant because every episode mirrors the 6 original movies.
That's so.
Here we go. The new series becomes a faithful homage to George Lucas's Star Wars because of every episode is 1, 2, 3, 4,
because it's like
5.
Poetry and it rhymes.
You know why they're writing this?
That's not what a faithful homage is, though.
I'll tell you why they're writing this, and I'll tell you why they're pushing this.
I know why, but go on. Explain it for the audience.
Disney has spent $1 bajillion on Star Wars, and it's not bringing them the money back. Kathleen Kennedy. It's not bringing their money back because of how Kathleen Kennedy is acting with the series. And so what they're trying to do is
pause real quick. Travis, yes, I've been complaining about this the whole time. People need to be cut in half. Go on.
Yeah, 100%. They're trying to say, well, look, it's the new, but we're still paying homage. We're still adhering to George Lucas's original vision. So
this has nothing to do with his original vision.
Come back to us. That's why Disney is having people write these articles.
Yeah.
And they're asking people to write this stuff because they are, I mean, the theme park.
No, they're getting paid to do this.
Oh, 100%.
By Disney.
Yeah, 100%. The theme park that they've built is not as crowded as it was when
they are losing. No, it wasn't even crowded on opening when they opened it. They are losing so much money on Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and the hotel that they just built. What is it, $2,500 or is it $5,000 a night?
Have you seen the videos of the stage play?
Those are funny.
The lightsaber fight where she like leans out because they have 2 different lightsabers and they had one that extends and acts like a real lightsaber, but they can't use it for the actual fight scene. So Rey walks in, turns it on, it goes brrr, and then she just bends over, drops it on the ground, and picks up a new lightsaber that she uses for the duel.
They are losing. I mean, who has realistically, and with crap like that, realistically, who has $2,500 a night to go spend on a single night of role playing fantasy?
And the rooms aren't even nice.
There is no way in hell. I apologize for the language, but there is no way in hell I would spend $2,500 a night as the crazy nerd I am to go to that hotel. It will never happen.
They think of a lot of other things I could spend that money on.
Not to mention the 3 episodes they just did, everybody practically hates. Practically everybody despises them, and they have lost they've made money.
You're talking about the sequel trilogy.
The sequel trilogy.
Not the last 3 episodes of this show.
Yeah, the sequel trilogy. So episode...
Because to me, I hated both of them, but some people liked them.
Yeah, so 7, 8, 9. The vast majority of people, even though I think 7 or 8, whatever, made its money back, the rest of them have flopped. And now, Mandalorian... I
think even 9 made its money back, but it didn't make money.
But it didn't make money. It just made its money back. And 9, or the Mandalorian, so far has been their only true successful series. Mm-hmm. But the problem was once Mandalorian was over and they dropped Boba Fett and they screwed up Boba Fett, Disney Plus subscriptions, there's plenty of articles that talk about this. Disney Plus subscriptions dive bombed at the end of season 1, season 2. Just completely gone. And so
a lot of that was also connected to the Florida stuff, though. There were political reasons for a lot of people leaving Disney Plus as well.
For Mandalorian season 2, but between season 1 and season 2, there was a huge drop, and then a huge drop during Boba Fett as well because it didn't get good reviews. Disney has spent billions of dollars and they're not making their money back. And that's why they're doing articles like this, because they're trying to tell people, look, we're trying to adhere back to George Lucas. Every one of these episodes is a flashback to episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice how they didn't mention episodes 7, 8, and 9. Notice how they're not mentioning any of the newer stuff, Rogue One or anything like that. They're trying to bring it back.
I will say Rogue One did make money.
Yeah, I think the only one that didn't actually make
made
money
a little
was
bit less than episodes 7 and 8. It made a lot more than Solo. Solo bombed.
So Solo bombed, but that was probably at least as much because they had to reshoot 90% of it.
Yeah, their budget was like doubled because of
did a
reshoots.
stupid job with their marketing.
They still didn't make a lot of money off of it. But yeah.
I will add, I feel like I probably have a different opinion than most people because I liked Obi-Wan way more than Mandalorian, and also
Really?
the Solo movie is one of my favorites.
That's the thing. I like the Solo movie.
Solo movie. I think the reason I loved both the Solo movie and Obi-Wan is because I love watching things that show backstory to characters. And so backstory to Han Solo and Obi-Wan backstory to Leia, and also Obi-Wan. So
that's kind of telling that you say that though. Obi-Wan is the backstory to Leia. Oh, so the show's not about Obi-Wan?
Yeah. No, it is about him too.
Is that a Freudian slip?
Nope.
Some might say, just like Leia psychoanalyzing people. Full circle.
You can have more than one protagonist, and not every protagonist has to be given the backstory because it's not showing backstory for. Actually, I would say it is backstory for Obi-Wan.
It's forward story.
It really didn't give. The thing that ended up frustrating me the most is in the end it felt like we didn't really get a whole lot from Obi-Wan. I did enjoy seeing Qui-Gon. I would wish that maybe Qui-Gon had been the reason that he didn't kill Vader.
Well, they're good. They're 100% doing season 2 now
of Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah, they're going to do a season.
Could, I suppose, yeah.
And the fact that he just pieces out at the end. Sorry, let me get rid of this. I feel like we're done.
So
with
so I've got it here. So episode 7 made $2 billion.
Yeah. Episode 7 made a lot of money.
Episode 7 made $2 billion total, 2.1, and it cost them $400 million to make. So they made a tidy profit off of that. But remember, they paid George Lucas something like $4 billion for something like that.
Some of that was in stocks. Not all of it was cash, but
sure.
And then Rogue One came out after that.
Rogue One made a profit of $300 million.
$300 million?
Yeah, 393.
That is a fraction of what they made from 7.
Solo only made them in total. Solo only made them $109 million. Episode 8 still made them $1 billion.
Yes, but not $3 billion.
Not $3 billion. Not like episode 7. Episode 9 only netted them $300 million.
Wow.
Episode 9 right here.
That is incredible.
Episode 9 cost them $500 some odd million to make, and their final profit off of everything was $923.
Didn't even break even.
Yeah, they broke even.
Because
the first number you said was domestic.
Yeah. So, the other thing too is that the cost, the $500 million that it cost to make, that does not include advertising.
Rise of the Skywalker is the lowest profit in Disney Star Wars history.
That is
again, Solo I believe would be lower just because it costs so much more to make than it should have. But
net. So wait. Yeah. But if you ignore production costs, Solo made more money than Episode 9.
According to an article, April 22nd, 2020.
Wow.
On the upside, Rise of Skywalker made more than $1 billion. Oh, I'm getting a stupid little ad.
There's no way that Solo made more money than Episode 9.
Yeah,
April 27th, from Forbes magazine, April 27th, Rise of Skywalker is the biggest gross box office of the year, yet it will earn around $300 million in profit. Yet in franchise history, this is the biggest. There it is. In franchise history, it's the biggest grossing box office disappointment ever, and this is Forbes magazine.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Wow. Okay.
So it made yeah. Rogue One made $319 million. Solo actually lost around
Yeah.
76 million.
That sounds more like what I've heard.
And they said there's a difference between a slightly disappointing performance and an outright financial miss. The Last Jedi, alleged super flop that has ruined Star Wars, earned around 417 million in profits in 2017. Force Awakens in 2015 was 780 million in profits. The Force Awakens was 1.074 billion. So they've just down.
That is exponential, not growth.
Yeah.
So they're going. They haven't even made their money back with everything they've put into Star Wars.
They could have made so much money. Here's the thing. The Force Awakens is the proof in the pudding.
They haven't made their money back in paying George Lucas, and that's what they were
from the movies is the point.
Right. They still haven't made it back yet.
Well, if you think about it, they paid him $4 billion.
Okay, here's what's so depressing about this. Look at the numbers for The Force Awakens. $3 billion. They could have made so much money off of Star Wars.
Star Wars episode, I think that was...
People were so willing to give money to Star Wars, and they've completely screwed the pooch.
Yeah, episode...
That's incredible.
Cites 1.75, so $1,750,000,000 off of episode 7, and then you have $1 billion off of episode 8, and then you have only 400 million off of episode 9.
That does not compute in my head. How you because you literally have a built-in fan base of $3 billion,
and so in 2012, remember in 2012 they gave George Lucas
because that was generations. That was people who grew up on the original trilogy,
right,
and they're still alive, and that's a huge. And then their kids who grew up with the sequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy. You had like that. That is the biggest the biggest fan base I think that's ever existed.
Yeah, Star Wars is, and the CEO. So Disney paid George Lucas $4 billion for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Again, I think only about $2 billion of that was cash.
He opted for $2.21 billion in cash, and he opted for 37 million shares in Disney, which gave him a 2.1 share. Blah 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 blah. Ultimately, George's full stake for everything has given him a $7.4 billion net worth for Star Wars. But then he did a couple other things they had to do. They had to pay him dividends from the movies. He's received $448 million from these dividends in the past. After all is said and done, George Lucas has made almost $10 billion from the sale of Star Wars. The largest, and this is from InsideTheMagic.net, which is all Star Wars stuff like that. So if you add all that together, if they have paid him a grand total of $10 billion, that is so much money. And they haven't even been able to pay him back for their investment in Star Wars. There's no way they've made $10 billion. Their biggest things to gross is the movies. The movies haven't doubled, tripled, quadrupled, which they thought they would, and they didn't. They thought they would get $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion off of these movies, and they got $1 billion, 900 million, 400 million.
Yep.
Solo lost movie. Rogue One made 300. They were hoping that each one of these movies would net them $1 billion, and they'd be able to pay it off. They haven't. So Disney is freaking out right now because also the money they've put into the parks, that's not lasting. It's all about the money. It's all about the moolah, guys. And Disney is screwed. Disney's screwed the pooch.
Mm-hmm.
That does. Oh man,
and then, like you said, all of us super old Star Wars nerds and people who are older than us who are Star Wars nerds, like our parents. Kathleen Kennedy comes out and says, "We don't need the old Star Wars fan base. We'll make new fans."
You do.
Guess what? The new fans don't have the money. The new fans you're trying to make are broke Generation Z and whatever else You're
You have less
to
millennials.
spend on Star Wars. That's not. Star Wars is really cool. Oh, great. Yeah, they're not going to go out and spend the money on a 501st uniform like us or T-shirts that say Star Wars. They're not going to do that. Like,
Travis has got it right there with that last comment. They didn't take the story anywhere. So many cool things they could do, and they just didn't pick any of them. I don't know. I am still a Star Wars stan, live and breathe it. I'll even, I walk away from Obi-Wan thinking mostly about the things that I enjoyed about it. I much prefer it to Boba Fett. It's almost as enjoyable to me as Mandalorian. I had more fun with Mandalorian.
Yeah,
but and for me, it still is a net positive. But boy, it came out to me saying, for why? Like I knew that there was a lot of like, there's no good reason besides the fact that they just want to get back to they think they want to get back on that nostalgia stuff. But yeah, there was no reason for it.
And then the weirdest part, though, is that the show ends with Obi-Wan saying, well, it looks like you can take care of Luke yourself, and I'm going to peace out again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though they've demonstrated that they can't take care of him themselves.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that stood out to me in those terms, but yeah, when you frame it that way, it's like, yeah, it's true. Very true.
I didn't like her. I think they could have made her Reva's redemption work. I just don't think that they set it up well enough. Because that scene where she's like, I get that you guys liked it, but when she's like, have I become him? And I was just like, yes, you're chopping off people's hands, you're murdering people in the streets. You just barely tried to kill a kid, and the only thing that stopped you was your PTSD. Yes, you're just like Vader. I don't get this. And then his speech to her was, "You're a good person. You're gonna get your own spin-off show." I hated it. I hated it so much.
There were issues I had with it. They don't all completely align with yours, but there's a lot of those things that I'm like, yeah, that didn't quite fit. Yeah.
Alan,
I did like that Owen stuck his finger in her sternum hole.
Yeah.
I love that part. Yeah, she's like on top of him. They're fighting on like that little bridge thing. He like sticks his hand into her lightsaber wound. I laughed so
I don't think I even noticed that. I want to go back and see that.
She has like a bandage wrapped around where she was stabbed.
The dumb part was though, like they were behind cover shooting her, and then there were multiple times where they took their cover and threw it at her. And I was like, just keep shooting. She's gonna miss eventually, right? Like.
Alan, I do think that she had pretty much become Vader. I agree with you on that. But then I think it wasn't just PTSD that stopped her from killing Luke. It was her PTSD reminding her. No, Alan, it was her PTSD reminding her or teaching her that she shouldn't become like Vader.
God, she was realizing.
And so then in the end, she did choose the right thing, and so in the end, she did become a better person again.
Still, if she'd killed Luke, she was realizing that she would be just like Vader, and she realized that's what got me so angry to begin with. So I don't want to.
And my point is, point was she's already there.
Yeah, but then again, Vader was redeemed at the end of Episode 6 just because he tossed the Emperor down.
Yeah,
that's why what I felt like is the best way to make this work is the deathbed redemption, because then you don't have to worry.
Then you don't have to
worry about the like. So what do you do now? Because now, who can trust Reva? Like, she's going to go into the spin-off show, and she's going to are any of the like rebels going to trust her in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Like, what else is she going to do?
I can't even imagine what her spin-off show is going to be.
I will be surprised if it actually comes to fruition.
Also, keep your I get that it's a symbol of death, but keep your lightsaber. It's a useful tool.
Yeah.
Just change the kyber crystal so it's not red.
That's what I was thinking.
I hated it. I hated it so much. I think it's a net negative.
I was talking to my brother a little bit about it because he knows that amongst my family, I'm known as being the peacemaker, and I'm always trying to, do all these mental gymnastics and everything. And he's like, they're doing this just to mess with you, just to try to break you and make you criticize this. And I'm like, Well, it sure feels like that sometimes because I am happy to criticize the things that don't work in the original, in the prequels, in the sequels.
And you truly are lost.
I'm gonna hold on to it.
And you truly are lost, Jared.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so
Does Jared?
they're doing
Sorry.
more Star Wars, though. They're doing the Andor show. You saw the trailer for that. They had some AK-47s in it. And they're doing Ahsoka spin-off show. They're obviously going to do Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. They're going to do a Reva show. They're doing Mandalorian Season 3, which might be the only thing that's good. And Taika Waititi is doing a Star Wars show, a movie.
I'm excited about that because
the good move is that they're going into the future, so they don't have to worry about canon, which is what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, I'm excited about his.
If you weren't going to care about canon, then don't use it.
Yeah. I'm excited about the Taika show or movie or whatever that they're doing. Andor still looks like it has potential to be at least as good as a Mandalorian.
I'm worried about it. I like a lot of Taika Waititi stuff. I haven't liked a lot of his recent stuff. I feel like he's gotten more and more Hollywood corrupt. I think he's been corrupted a little bit by Hollywood.
Could be.
But I did not like his show. The flag, our flag means death.
No, I haven't checked that one out.
I didn't even finish.
No.
But I think that's all the Star Wars. I don't think. I'm pretty sure that the Rian Johnson trilogy is canceled, and the one that they were giving to Patty Jenkins is definitely canceled because she made Wonder Woman 2, and they're like, oh, you didn't write the first movie.
The thing that's frustrating though is I look at because it looks like if they're going away from Patty Jenkins movie, they did the same thing with Colin Trevorrow for was it Colin Trevorrow who was going to be doing episode 9?
Yes.
And it was after his Book of Henry movie came out and it was a failure. But then the script for his episode 9 leaked, and most everyone's like, this was at the very least way better than what we got, and actually
it was a low bar.
But
but
it cleared the low bar and actually got to a point where it might have been able to be considered good or as good as most.
I think it would have been better. I still don't think it would have been good after watching Jurassic World Dominion. I was like, well, I kind of maybe it was the right call to take it away from Trevorrow, but it was the bad call to give it back to Abrams.
Yeah, or just have one person write the story of all three, and then you can have a director that will direct separate directors for all of them, but have one person write the story for all three. This is supposed to be a trilogy. They're supposed to be connected. Instead, it became bad improv of, but it is actually going to be, this isn't a gun, it's a water gun, but then I do have this gun.
You're not my uncle, you're my father. You're a Palpatine now.
Are you a Skywalker? Maybe not.
Now you're not a Palpatine. I'm not a Palpatine. I'm a Skywalker.
Yeah. Bad improv. Michael, from The Office. Michael Scott level improv. That's what it was.
He says he can't show me, but he has a gun in his pocket.
Pull out my gun, and it's actually, and it's a water gun. Yes. And I pull out a real gun.
All right. Well, Star Wars makes me sad. But you guys want to laugh about something?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a new segment. What's that? 2 new segments in the same night? So this is something that happened a while ago. Jared, you've actually already heard the story, but I was putting the story off to get for more people to be on the panel to act as a judge, Judy, and executioner, because we got a new segment, and it's called Air Your Grievances. Here's the stinger, but I made this 30 minutes before the show starts, so it's not the final. I composed it. Here's the stinger.
If you have a problem, we have a solution. We solve global warming and eliminate all pollution. Now, but you don't have to pay us any heat and sun.
will be a
Oh,
better
no.
version of that song, everybody. But it's a new segment on Best Gen. It's Air Your Grievance. That's right. If you get on to Twitter and if you tweet at me, the TechMex505, and you put in the hashtag Air Your Grievance, or maybe even a DM. I don't know how Twitter works, but if you're watching live, which not a lot of people are, you can put it in the comments just for tonight. But you can air your grievance, and the panel will act as Judge Judy and executioner, and tell you if you're in the wrong or if your friend's in the wrong. And here's an example. This is an example from my life, and everyone's going to judge whether or not I was wrong or whether or not my wife is wrong. So let's air our dirty laundry, everybody. So this happened. I was with my wife. And it was a wonderful day. We were here. I got a visual aid. Hold on, let me show this. One stream. Okay, no, not that. Here, that's better. Okay, there's a visual aid. So we went. We did a tasting because for her work they needed a caterer for a big event, and we went to Penguin Brothers in Utah. It's a delicious place. They make ice cream sandwiches out of homemade cookies and homemade ice cream, and it's delicious. So they had So here's the table. Okay, this is a table. See that? It fits 6. So these are chairs. This is a platter of cookies, and this is where the napkin dispenser was. Okay. Now let's label everything. We've got my wife. Oh, that's a bad color. I thought I clicked on blue. Here. Okay. We've got my wife right here. We've got a little baby right here. We've got my little son, Kid Elliot right here, and we've got me. We've got technically Mexicano. That's Mexican in Spanish for anyone who doesn't know. Okay, so the scene has been painted. So we were tasting all the different flavor of cookies because you get to choose like 3 cookies and 3 ice cream combinations, and then you can make whatever combination you got. It was delicious. The event was super awesome. Go to Penguin Brothers if you haven't gone in Provo. Super.
Not a sponsor yet.
They're amazing. Okay. So we were doing a tasting, and we had a bunch of cups of water because you had a palate cleanser, right? Between the cookies. And so the little kid had some water. The woman had some water. Here, let's fill these in. I had some water, and baby had some water, but we're not going to do that one yet. We're going to fill that in later. You like all these visual aids? I feel like it's
very fancy.
Okay, so there's some water. I'm really good at paint. Okay, waters. Okay, the baby is like 1 year old, and she's crazy, and she sticks her hands in everything. And what she did is she backwashed into her water full of cookie crumbs and just disgusting, like the milkiest, the floaty bits and everything, like the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. Okay, and so my wife. She takes the water away because she just sticks her hands into it, right? She takes the water away because she was just playing and she was done drinking. And she wants to keep it away from the baby so that she doesn't spill and doesn't make it grosser, okay? And meanwhile, we're occupied trying a bunch of cookies, and I'm trying to make sure that Elliot doesn't eat more than he's supposed to, right? Because I'm being a dad and trying to help my wife. Poor me. I had to sacrifice so much and eat all these cookies. What's the point? Okay, so my wife needs to get this cup of water away from the baby. So where would you put the cup of water? Where would a sane person put this cup of water?
Are you actually asking? Do you want us to answer?
This is participation is encouraged.
Air
your grievances.
If I'm Stephanie, sorry, yeah.
You were right here. So you're Stephanie. You're my wife.
Yeah, and I take it away from my left side.
The goal is keep it. The goal is to keep the cup of water.
Put it on my right side.
Keep the cup of water away from baby.
Yeah, so I take it from my left side, put it on my right side. But
so you're going right here. You're going right here.
Well, I guess if my arm reaches that far, yes.
That's what I would have done. Do you want to know what Stephanie did?
Well, Alan, before you tell me what Stephanie did, I will say that as a new mother, sometimes you're focused on so many different things at once.
I 100% get it.
Yeah, so it's fine if she maybe didn't put it in the best place at the first.
Who wants to guess where the water was placed?
I recuse myself. at
the
this point.
cup of water got placed right here, and we'll paint this one red because it's
Contaminated.
We gotta be consistent here. Here, we're gonna make it black and then fill it in red. I'm real good at paint, guys. Bad water. It's placed directly in front of me.
Oh, you drank from it.
I didn't drink from the cup, Tina. Okay? I was preoccupied holding kids down, and Elliot was trying to sneak more cookies, right? And I'm palate cleansing. I reach out, grab a cup that's in front of me, and I down the whole thing.
Ew!
And then as it's empty, I see the ice and the leftovers at the bottom, and I almost throw up. And I'm like, what did you do to my water? And she's like, oh, that's Savannah's water. I was trying to get it away from her. I put it across the table. And I said, yeah, you put it across the table directly in front of me. Okay?
Oh.
Here's the thing. I get if she made a mistake, we're willing to forgive. She, to this day, refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing. All I wanted was, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I should have put it clearly. I clearly should have put it right here.
So is this section going to be like a marriage council thing? Now? Is that what this is going to be?
Exhibit A. There we go. I rest my case. I leave it to the jury. Who's right here and who's wrong? All I wanted was her to say, I'm sorry, I put it in a bad place. And I didn't even get that.
Did you express that that's what you wanted?
I expressed it immediately.
So my question is here: how recently have you been paying attention? Did she maybe take out some insurance policies? In that situation, I think that maybe she is in the right because she was just trying to make sure she could provide for Elliot there.
Alan, maybe she was trying to play a prank on you. Therefore, she doesn't want to apologize.
No, but my real answer is that
whatever Steph did to you, I don't know what we're talking about, but you deserve it 100%.
No, you didn't go over the whole
I
story
agree with
again,
Corwin. As your younger sister, I agree with Corwin.
No one. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
No
one deserved what happened to me.
As the guy who has been with you from ultimately the beginning of your marriage, whatever Steph did, you deserved.
Oh my goodness!
I think actually she didn't put it close enough to you. Is what I'm getting at too.
What are we talking about now? Now that I've stuck my foot in my mouth.
Okay. I chugged. Long story short, I accidentally chugged an entire glass's worth of the most disgusting backwash filth water you've ever seen in your life.
From a baby.
Long story short, we were sampling cookies, okay? And this is my wife is right here. Look. My wife is right here. So the baby is right here. Elliot's right here. I'm right here on this very long table. There's lots of room on the table. And the baby had stuck her hand into the water, Corwin. And my wife was taking it away from her because she was just playing. And instead of setting it here where the X is, where she should have set it, this is a napkin dispenser. So there was even a barrier here if she wanted to keep it away from the baby. This is the logical place to put it. This is the tray of cookies. And these are the other waters that other people were drinking. This is the bad water. This is where my wife placed the water to get it away from Savannah. And I, being distracted, being a father and trying to help her sample all these different things for catering, reached out, grabbed the cup, drank the whole thing, and almost vomited because it was so revolting.
Okay.
And Corwin, the only thing I asked, I realized being a parent is stressful, and you sometimes make a mistake. All I wanted in that moment was for her to acknowledge, oh, that was silly of me. I put it in the wrong place. I should have put it further away. And she to this day refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing.
Okay. Here's something that just occurred to me though, because she's putting it in front of you, which means that what she may have been doing is she was taking it away from the baby and giving it to you to get rid of.
There was no conversation. No.
Well, I know. There's no conversation, but it's like an instinct where it's like, okay, I'm taking this away from the baby and getting it to my husband. So
that's fine. The only thing to this day, all I want is for her to say, I'm sorry, I should have either made it clear that I wanted you to take it, or I should have put it in a different place. I just wanted a teeny little apology saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I've got nothing.
You're right. She should have said that she didn't mean to do that, because what she probably meant to do was pour it into your cup of water.
Yeah.
This is our new segment, Corbin, called Air Your Grievances. If you're watching the show, you can tweet at me a grievance that you've had, and our panel of judges will decide who's in the right and who's in the wrong.
I love your intro.
I do like this idea, Alan.
With cutting the toilet paper in half, although you obviously put them on the wrong order. It needed to be the other one first and then the second one.
Okay, I see. Did you see the intro?
You had to do something wrong.
I did not. I was putting my two.
Okay, so what's the final verdict? Who's in the wrong? Me or my wife?
Oh.
In all sincerity, an apology costs nothing. That's all that I'll say.
The apology costs nothing. That's a win for me. That's one. Corbin, you said I deserve it. That's 1 versus 1. Come on, Tina, and come on.
I don't know.
No, you got to cast a vote. Abstinence is only a viable option for not getting pregnant. Not in this.
Because Alan, here's the thing.
No, I just need.
There could be a whole lot more to the story.
I get it, but that's not the point. All I wanted was for her to say sorry. So who's in the right? Who's in the wrong?
Stephanie. I don't want Stephanie to be mad at me.
Okay, so that's 2 for Stephanie and 1 for me. Come on, Jared.
Wait. So I could potentially tie this up.
Yeah.
Tie it up.
Or
wait. Before Jared Pratt casts his vote, can I say something else, Ellen?
Yes.
I will say, I do think it would be fine for Stephanie to say what you want her to say, but I will also say, if maybe she doesn't want to do that because there's other things that you've done to make her mad, I understand that.
That's vindictive, though. That's not how you handle a marriage. You don't hold. What kind of person would remember past grievances and bring them up?
How long ago did this happen?
A month.
Okay, Jared Pratt should give his vote.
I was waiting for a big panel to bring, and I had to do the song.
I see. Well, I think that whether or not she should have done it, or she shouldn't have, or she should do this or shouldn't, we got to forgive and forget. We got to move on
and apologize.
You got to forgive and forget, Alan.
I apologize.
You got to forgive and forget.
Are you voting for my wife?
I'm just saying there are more important things to be worried about, and I don't think dirty water is one of them. Forgive and forget.
Well, this was filthy water.
This was the most disgusting thing in my life. And I pooped my pants several times.
I just hope it doesn't happen again. But forgive and forget.
All right. Well, this didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. But it's because you're every person on this panel is too much of a chicken to stand up to my wife.
The thing is, we're not all going to.
Or just immediately nods.
I'm the one that with probably the furthest distance between me and your wife, and so that's why I felt like maybe I had.
She can't get
I don't know.
She can't. Joe,
but Alan,
I do love you, Steph. If you ever see this or watch this, just know I do love you.
Yeah. What?
So, oh my. I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no. Okay. So first of all, I think one reason why we hesitate to vote the way you want us to vote is because we don't want all 4 of us ganging up against your amazing wife.
That's the point.
Secondly, I will say.
That's the point of the segment.
Wait.
The point is, I wrote a song just so that we could gang up on my wife.
No, wait.
That
Let me say
backfired.
one more thing before you share your song with you, if that's what you're gonna do, or before you share your song with us. So, if someone in a marriage will not apologize, you could say that's because of pride. If someone does not forgive someone in their marriage, that you could also say that's because of pride. So ultimately,
joke's
both
on
people
you.
in the marriage
Joke's
need
on you.
to
Joke's on
not
you.
be prideful.
I forgave her instantly because I'm the better man.
But if you are upset, if you're upset that she hasn't apologized, you clearly have not forgiven her.
Oh, this is called entertainment. This is called playing it up for the camera. Internally, I've completely forgiven my wife. I don't hold any resentment at all because I take the high road always.
Of course.
Okay.
And we completely believe you, Alan. We completely believe you.
Thank you. So that sounds like 5 votes for me. And this has been Air Your Grievances. Here's the stinger in case you missed.
If you have a problem, we have a solution. We solve global warming and eliminate all pollution. Now, but you don't have to pay us any heedance. You just have to tweet us hashtag air your grievance.
Was it laggy for you guys? That was weird.
Yeah, for me, but
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but when it took a while for it to unmute afterwards, and
yeah.
Okay, yeah. For me, it was like skipping.
Weird.
So that's a new segment. If you have any grievances, let us know, and we act as a judge, Judy, and executioner. So, you guys want to talk about some Raised by Wolves? If I don't know if you don't have to stay for that, Tina.
Yeah, I probably
but
won't.
we've
'cause
raised
I've
a
only
couple
seen the
wolves.
first episode.
It's good.
Raised
How
some
would you?
wolves.
And you said the first episode was too gory for you, right?
You know what
I didn't say it was too gory for me because I've watched other things that are
Right.
the same amount of gory.
The ending of the
but-
first of episode 1 is pretty gratuitous.
Yeah. So I've seen other things that are just as gory, but since it was the very first episode, I have no idea if
It's not like that the whole
show's
time.
going to be that gory every single episode. So then I'm hesitant.
No.
So
It's not
I
that gory.
just knowing that we've beat Star Wars to death this episode, I I wanted to. I've been tasked to read a prepared statement. from our
Yes, you have a statement from Davis.
Yes. Give me just a second here.
He is camping.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So my here's the prepared statement. I, David Anthony Bentley, do hereby declare that the Obi-Wan show is the single greatest piece of Star Wars media ever to have been created, henceforth and for all eternity. Something like that, right? Was that? Did I
Yeah.
get the...
Well, that tracks. He liked Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. So
Right. Here's his real actual thoughts. Mirrors a lot of the things that we were saying. Really liked about half of this episode. You think you can guess which half? The fight scene with Vader was really well done, and aside from the brief back-to-back moment, which they
did again.
He didn't catch too many stupid moves like telegraphed attacks or strikes aiming at nowhere. However, the action was undercut by the back and forth with the uninteresting plot of Reva trying to kill Luke on Tatooine for some reason. It kills the tension, is illogical and boring. He can accept that Reva deduced that there was some random boy on Tatooine protected by Owen for some unknown reason for the ill-thought-out hologram message. However, her motivation for killing him is unclear. She teleports across the galaxy, is virtually unfazed by her wound, and her sudden redemption because she somehow
she didn't have a ship, did she?
That we ever saw? Nope.
Because they made a big point saying there weren't enough ships.
Mm-hmm. Her sudden
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the statement because he obviously can't retort, but I just realized how stupid that was.
Oh yeah, yep. She teleported without a ship. It
was the Force.
It was the Force because that's how the Force works. That is how.
I will take a page out of Tina's book. Who are we to say that there's no equivalency between moving a box the size of a Matchbox car and using the
flying
the
through
Force
space?
to teleport across the
We have
galaxy?
seen people fly through space in Star Wars.
Yeah, didn't Leia come back from being?
Don't move on.
I will say, I will say for in Rise in the Last Jedi, it's pretty clear she's force pulling the ship, but she's not flying.
I'm gonna lose it. Let's just
continuing with David's statement here. She somehow sees herself in Luke and is worried she is becoming Vader was contrived and unearned. Also did not like that Kenobi left Vader alive after beating him so soundly just because canon calls for it in A New Hope. If he still thought Vader could be turned by someone other than him, or, like I said, Qui-Gon's voice showed up at that moment to stop him from killing Vader instead
that
of...
would have been cool.
Yeah, that was one of the other options that I thought of as well. Instead of randomly just showing up at the end, which it was fine to see him for that moment. If it just wish it had been for more. Anyway, randomly at the end, it might have been justified, but he literally admits, my friend is truly dead, and awesomely calls him Darth, an unnecessary, but still, I was okay with connection to fix a plot hole.
Because he calls him, we got to fix the OG trilogy again.
He loved the dialogue and the mix of Hayden Christensen and James Earl Jones's voice modulation.
That was probably the best part of the episode.
Ewan McGregor was wonderfully emotional, and his acting was top tier with that. And his overall thoughts. Overall, the whole series was vastly superior to Boba Fett, and there were many enjoyable episodes, still pretty meh in total. I think Reva is poorly written and wholly uninteresting. Her redemption might have been justified if she were introduced as a newer member of the Inquisitorial Squad, or who had otherwise not yet killed another Jedi, and the other Inquisitors looked down on her for that. But instead, they treat her poorly. Instead, they treat her poorly because she came from the gutter and because she is too ambitious and ruthless. I don't know why this show has a problem with checking if people are dead. Reva fails with the Grand Inquisitor. Vader fails with Reva twice. Vader fails with Kenobi in the Rock Avalanche, and then Kenobi with Vader in the end. I don't think they ultimately broke canon with anything that they did, but many of the choices left me scratching my head, and I am left wondering why this story was told in the way that it was in the first place. So, and I very much agree with almost everything that he says there. I feel like it didn't actually end up breaking canon anywhere. It did some things, it twisted canon in ways that didn't need to be twisted, tried to fill in gaps that didn't need to be filled in. But it was okay. It just was kind of for why? What point did it serve beyond fan service? Which I can get behind. I enjoy fan service, but I just wanted it to be more. So that was David's statement.
Thank you for reading it to us.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for joining us, Tina. You can.
Yep.
You can
I will
What?
leave with saying I do think Obi-Wan has been one of my favorite parts of the whole Star Wars universe, and good night.
Awesome. Wait for it.
Gotta wait for all the. Oh yeah, now it's boys time.
Yep.
What do you guys think about wolves?
They were raised. I realized we forgot to mention last episode about the mermaid-like creature thing, because we did see that last episode. It jumped out and bit what's her name's leg, and I did call it that she was coming back around, and boy did she come back around and did some slaughter. Those Mithraics are suffering.
Yeah, I think that's like almost all of them.
Yeah, I think we've got Holly.
There's two left.
Caleb.
Or no, there's one actual Mithraic left, right? The rest
Is there
are
one other
fake.
one?
Or I guess if you count the kids, you don't count the kids.
There might have been one other one that did end up surviving. She broke some arms and slashed some people. It wasn't super clear what the end result was with her.
Oh, it looked like they were all dead.
I think most of them got tossed down the thing or slashed to death.
I really liked that scene.
Now you get to know how it feels like to be me, and she just rips off her face.
Yeah.
That was pretty brutal. Sue turning to prayer was interesting, and she uses that to kind of get back in Paul's good graces a little bit. She doesn't misrepresent. She doesn't lie to him, but she misrepresents a little bit. She's like, "I prayed to," and he says it was Saul, and she's like,
I liked what she said. She's like, I don't know if this is a god, but I definitely heard something, and it helped me save you.
Knows that it's real, and it helped me save you. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
And the way she prayed too, say like, because you've seen that with those doubting types before, in terms of like, oh God, if there is a God, and if you are like you've got all of that going on, and her saying, hey, whoever or whatever you are, I know you're there and can answer and can give answers. I don't think you're a god, but Please help me. I'll do anything. And then it tells her at the end, plant the tree.
Who was the voice talking to? Because up until now, the voice has only been talking to one person at a time. Was it currently on Paul?
I don't know if we've heard Paul saying that he was just now hearing the voice or had recently heard it, but the very last bit we heard it saying to Mary Sue. I'm going to call her Mary Sue, but yeah, in this one we hear
her names are Mary Sue.
Yeah. So we hear after she puts Paul to sleep and he's got some sleep aids and the computer tells her you should sleep too. She starts hearing plant the seeds, plant the seeds, plant the seeds, and she says, "I'll do whatever."
Singular, but yes. Oh, I gotta bring it up now because I've been sitting on this one for a long time. Plant the seed. This is my biggest theory about the show. Although after rewatching season 1, I don't know if it holds as much water as I thought it did. If you remember back to the helmet guy who did some bad things with girls in stasis pods, he said that was because he heard Soul's voice. I think it wasn't intentional, and he heard the same phrase, plant the seed.
Okay.
And that was his interpretation of...
But they were still on the ark in space.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it holds as much water after rewatching season 1 because it was kind of only talking to one person at a time. And my original thought was that whatever the voice is wasn't quite like currently sentient, and it was more like had a bunch of messages that were just playing on repeat, and so that was like he accidentally grabbed the signal that said plant the seed, and that's why he did his bad things and planted his seed.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a parallel somewhere there.
Possibly, yeah.
But I don't know if it actually works anymore because we've kind of seen that the voice knows what's going on because it's adapting its strategy.
Because it said to stop, to not kill Mother.
So it could be that he wanted a baby to get born, but I like my idea of it was just plant the seed because the plant the seed. Mary's not the only person who hears that specific message.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember having seen anything that had anybody else seeing that.
It happens. I'm going to do a little spoiler.
Yeah, minor spoiler. That's fine. Yeah,
it's a teeny thing. Yeah, but that's my favorite theory. I really like that one.
That's an interesting one. I think the only other potential problem with that, I mean, the way you're saying, where it's kind of an intercepted message on repeat rather than specifically directed, or was even specifically directed at him at the time, is that they. Having not landed at the planet, they not only weren't at the planet, but they also hadn't even found the seed yet, or at least assuming that is the seed in the
little box. And it still could work. It could still be sentient, and he was actually trying to just spread the message to a bunch of people, saying, "When you get to the planet, plant the seed, plant the seed, plant the seed."
That may be the kind of terraforming, basically, of the
it wouldn't necessarily have to be like a message on repeat. It could be. I'm just trying to get as many people as to if someone doesn't do it, someone else will plant the seed.
Because the idea of them going from Kepler to Earth and now they've come from Earth to Kepler kind of leads to an idea of a cycle that possibly has been going on. And so the idea of having to terraform this world, perhaps, to make it more. Although in that mural, when they're shown flying to Earth, Earth is already looking pretty green and like Earth-like.
Yeah.
And Kepler's messed up, which might be.
The mural it's either depicting Adam and Eve or Romulus and Rebus.
Right. Because that was the other kind of fun
I
thing.
Personally like the idea of Adam and Eve better, but it could be.
Yeah. Well, and it could be honestly, it could
There's
be
just so many more parallels with Adam and Eve, with the apple and like the tree of life, and, like, plant the seed, and like all this like mother, and it's the same as mother and father, starting it on Kepler, and like it's there's too many parallels. I don't like the Romulus and Remus. I like it. I want Adam and Eve to be robot aliens.
I'm not as familiar with the specifics of the Romulus and Remus mythos beyond what's been said, and
they were raised by wolves
like that before, right? But
raised by wolves and created Rome.
But that's also interesting because in this episode we just watched, there's the tooth of Romulus.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's Romulus.
It caused them to devolve again,
or something like that. Because
it looked like it was inside him. Yeah. This part's weird, and it's not 100% explained. But like the tooth dissolves. And it looked like the thing inside was like a husk, or like the outside was like a husk, and it like dissolved. The creature was inside.
Dissolve because it was still there, I think, afterwards, but it started glowing while he was wearing it.
It could have just been,
and then it glowed a little bit more, and something floated to him, but it looked like the tooth was still there, but it did something to the alien guy.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, but it's cool.
And that was interesting that it kind of devolved him. You're right; it actually did kind of devolve him because he looked like he had been.
It was an accelerated de-evolution,
things like that. But then he went bestial. He was dressed up. He had a helmet on. He had clothes on. He had a snakeskin clothing on. It looked like. And then after that happened to him, he ripped off the stuff and was acting more de-evolved. So maybe.
I will say, as much as I loved the scene of the robot girl killing everyone, I hated it because I just wanted answers. I just let them explore the space tunnels so we can figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I know, right? The magically appearing cage that he ends up going down, because they walk up to that thing and it's one of those temples, one of the the 12-sided die looking temples, and when he hits the little button or trigger in the hole, they're all like surprised, like, oh look, there's a cage up there, but it would have probably been obvious just hanging further up there when they walked up. So kind of an obstacle.
I think it was more like, oh hey, it's moving, not oh hey, there's a cage we didn't see.
You're probably right. It was just kind of interesting. It was like, oh, did we not notice that before? But yeah, because they didn't show it on the screen before that, I don't think. But very, very good stuff. Interesting, very intriguing.
I definitely hate that we know that it's been canceled, because
somebody might pick it up.
I know, but still, I'm like,
it's got a pretty big following.
It's going to be like Patrick Rothfuss all over again.
The longer we wait, the longer that we haven't heard anything, the less hope that I gain for it being picked up.
It's still
been almost a month now.
It's still worth watching. There's season 2 is cool.
Still really good.
It's still good.
It has been a very, very good and interesting series. Have either of you watched beyond this? Was it episode 5 we just watched?
You
finished?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I finished weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's
I do remember you saying
that. Yep, I have finished. I was a while ago when you guys were like, "Did you watch more?" And I was like,
"Yes."
So, did you notice, Corwin, the ending scene is something that Tanner actually brought up on a whim, and I've been biting my tongue for months because I was like. like I want to tell him. Like it was.
Yep.
There's 3 episodes left that we haven't watched, right? Because we just watched 5, so there's 6, 7, and 8, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Sounds all right. Because I'm down to keep going to push forward faster, but I don't want to get too far ahead either. So I've been holding myself back.
I just barely was able to watch everything this week, so.
Well, we won't have an Obi-Wan next week.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm glad I was not having a good
time. I'm looking forward to. Oh, actually, next week we'll probably end up having the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things to watch, though, because that'll drop on Friday,
July 1st. Wait, have we been talking about that?
We talked about it once.
We mentioned it a couple of times. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then Umbrella Academy just hit Netflix, and I want to check that one out.
I watched season 1, and then when season 2 came out, I wasn't like really compelled to get back into it. But I've heard it's
been pretty good.
better. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about season 3, and it kind of makes me think that it wasn't very good, and people just like didn't want to bash on it.
It's only been a couple of days that it's been out, but yeah, I haven't heard very much about it yet. I've been a little bit offline though the last couple of days, so.
Yeah. And actually, next week, I don't know if I can do the show next week because I will be out of town and I won't have a computer. I might be able to do it on my phone. It's obviously not going to be as cool.
I'm kind of in the same boat, and that's also assuming that you want to have me back because you brought me on to talk Star Wars and Star Wars.
Oh, I would love you can come back. Yeah, I'd love to have you be a regular on the show. I upgraded your picture in the thumbnail. You're not a guest anymore, Jared.
Woo.
You're welcome back anytime.
You're officially other Jared.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think I've talked about it on the show, but Tanner was feeling a little burned out from doing the homework, and so he's taking a little break from the show. He's obviously, we love Tanner. I love him. He's welcome back anytime, but he won't be on for a while. Okay. He stopped. I saw him yesterday, and I was like, "So are you still watching Obi-Wan?" He's like, "I don't have to," and I was like, I'm sorry I made you watch Obi-Wan. He's like, I've been feeling pretty good.
See, I would be watching this stuff anyway. That's the other thing is I enjoy the opportunity to just talk nerdy stuff because I keep up and watch a lot of these things anyway. And I watch other YouTube shows that sometimes talk about them, but it's fun to be able to shout my own opinions at the internet.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to introduce more fun segments so that even when there's not a show to talk about, we can still talk about nerdy things. So if you guys have any grievances you want to air, bring them up.
Keep an eye.
Tweet them.
But yeah, let us know in the comments if you got some grievances. Tweet us. Tweet us in the
tie
comments.
To a bird's leg.
Tweet us on the Twitter. I'll make the stinger better. I'll re-record the vocals. I literally recorded the song and made the video and put it together 30 minutes before the show started.
Pretty good.
Nice.
I'd written the lyrics last week and I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna do it." It's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping up on a bunch of those different things. I'm also I'm married, but I have no kids. No, not a whole lot of other things going on with that.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier, I think, sometimes for me to keep up on shows. And I really like doing it.
Thor also drops on the 8th.
Okay.
I will not watch that.
I'll be there for that one.
Not because I don't want to watch it, but because since I've been married, the 8 years the 3 years I've had children, 3.5 years I've had kids. I think I've been to the movie theaters twice.
Yeah. dude, go see Top Gun while you still can.
That's the plan for this Saturday. That's the plan for me and my wife.
Seriously.
Saturday. But seriously,
it's a good movie, but it's also like a theater movie. Like,
yeah.
That's one you gotta. It's a spectacle.
Yeah, that's the plan for Saturday. My wife doesn't know it, but that's the plan for Saturday.
It is so freaking good.
So
it is. It's everything that the original was and better. It's everything that the original did great. It did better. Everything it didn't do very well, it did better. It was great. Yeah. And any of the rest of you guys get a chance to catch Lightyear?
I won't watch that one either.
Not. I actually had free tickets to go see it, and I was just like,
I'm kind of surprised that the like reviews and the box office apparently hasn't been great because I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was solid.
Yeah, they made the what's the word I'm looking for? They made a lot of the advertising. They made a lot of the promotional material about. They made it political with the inclusion of the lesbian kiss, and there were a lot of conservative Christian-minded people decided to not watch it because of that. So
it was such a minor piece of the movie. And as much as I fall on the conservative side, it is what it is, and I'm just gonna have to.
I think the part that hurt him though was there was an interview with Chris Evans where he basically said anyone who disagrees is an idiot, and he called them. It's funny. He said they will die off like the dinosaurs, and then they lost they were they lost box office money to.
Ouch. That sucks because Chris Evans is a great stand-up guy. He really does a lot of good things. He lives up to his Captain America type reputation from everything I hear. But
and you know, if you want to make like political stuff, that's fine. Like I watch a lot of content that doesn't perfectly align with my political beliefs or my personal standards. But if it's not preachy about it, I don't care. but when they're preachy about it, and the worst part is when they're insulting to the opposition. That's not good. That's not good marketing. Sorry.
Hey, I'm gonna take off, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Sorry I came in late. Work was kind of nuts.
No, it's all good.
No worries. You got an important job to do. So,
well, kind of.
Hey, it's Utah though. Like you know.
Half of my job I feel is just like babysitting adults. Like over half my job. We should just do an episode. We should just do a
air your grievances on Corwin.
Some grievances I can, some grievances I can't. But honestly, like my job, I feel like I'm just berating children all day. Like I feel like I just
but they're adults.
I just shake my head at some of the stuff. I'm just like you did what? What?
Self-infliction is
yes, 90% of the time that's what it is, and it's just it. And then people can't get along. Like you have all these people with custodial interference crap that got divorced and now they're fighting over the kid, and now the kid's stuck between mom and dad. And instead of being cordial, like you look at these people and you're just like, you loved each other enough to have sex with each other and make a baby. And now you're using that baby as ammunition against the other. It's just the dumbest, stupidest. And that's Sunday. Sunday is two things. Sunday is custodial interference calls where one parent's calling us. He's not here. She's supposed to drop off my kid. She was supposed to be here 5 minutes ago. That's custodial interference. No, it's not. Calm the freak down. Mm-hmm. Or the second one is we WWE fight night. Mm-hmm. Everyone's home and domestic violence crap happens.
Jerry.
Yeah, no, 100%. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm gonna take off.
Yeah, we're wrapping up anyway. So
we'll see you.
I think that's it. Do we have anything else to say? Oh, I watched a movie. I watched the Father of the Bride on HBO.
It was plastered up there every time I'd go onto it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it because I mean the original was Steve Martin. Well, the Steve Martin is actually a remake. So it's a book. There's 2 books, and they made both of them into a movie. And then Steve Martin's remake, like 20 years after that, made both of those into movies. And then so it's remade now. And I was looking forward to it because I liked Steve Martin's. It's a fun story. Like it, and it's one that I could watch with my wife. Right? It's kind of rom-com but funny. We were both very disappointed in it. There weren't any likable characters in the writing. The writing was very bad. It was basically an all Latino remake. Recasting, and the main actor, I really like him. I can't remember his name, but obviously I didn't. It's the reason I didn't like it was not because it was full of Latinos. I love Latin culture. My channel's called Technically Mexican. Andy Garcia, yeah. I like a lot of his stuff. It felt really pandery though. And I don't think that Latinos would like it either. It was kind of insulting. There were a lot of things where they were like, they don't really do that in Mexico. But it's a good way to do it. Have you guys seen Overboard?
Yeah,
I have.
Original. No. So they did a Latino remake of Overboard. It
was a role reversal too, because it was.
I love it. Yeah, it was gender swap too. They I love the original is
Yeah,
really good, but I love the remake. I think the remake is actually hilarious. I've watched it several times with my wife. I think she bought it on like Amazon. We own it. It's hilarious, and that's how, you know. And it was really the Latin stuff that they, you know, shoehorned into the movie didn't feel shoehorned. It felt it was there for a purpose, and it added to the story, and it was a really clever twist on the movie. And this one was it was just the complete opposite. It was just like, hey, we're putting Latinos in it, so Latinos will come and watch it. But it didn't add anything to the story. None of the characters were likable, and it was not a good time.
Yep.
There were a lot of like stereotypes, and you're like, did you? I don't think the people you want to see this movie will like this movie, and the people you don't want to see this movie aren't going to like it either. They kept they kept using the term Latin X, which
apparently that's a thing. They did. They made the same thing in
the only people who say Latinx are white liberals. If you've ever been to Latin America, they laugh at the term. They don't nonsense.
A lot of especially higher first generation, second generation Latinos. They don't like they're not particularly politically correct. You know, they don't really. I mean, I don't know. I am a white guy, and I have even less connection to Mexico and Latinos than you do, even though I speak Spanish as well. It is kind of interesting, but they did the same. There was the same joke made in Miss Marvel in one of the episodes. The big bad Department of Damage Control lady says, "Oh, was she Latina? Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm supposed to say Latinx, and it's supposed to be making her being a jerk for saying
or doing it wrong on purpose." Even though that's what they prefer. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, it was just dumb, and it completely misunderstood the point of the story, which was like the father is burdened with the responsibility of having to pay for his daughter's wedding, but he's too proud to admit that he can't afford it because the other father he's competing with is like super rich and he can't. It's about pride. And he suffers because of it.
Wasn't there a Kevin Hart and and Adam Sandler that did something like that too? And it was like it had a racial aspect to it too. I never saw it, but I thought I remembered seeing it.
I don't think it was based on Father the Bride. Oh no! Yeah, that where it was. She brings home a black guy that she's marrying.
Well, there's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and then there was the Guess Who, which is the remake of that, and it's a different. But I think it's
was the shock that he was bringing it home to his black family and he was marrying a white chick, and they were like, "Oh, what's all this?"
That was the remake of Guess Who as opposed to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But I thought there was another one that had something like that too. But
the Father Bride was dumb because they completely changed that. Like the Andy Garcia was really rich, and he was the one trying to make the wedding more expensive for his daughter. And it's just like, this is just that's not what the story's about. It's the opposite. And the daughter's like, no, I just want a real reserved. I just want a private thing, And he's like, no, we got to make it more expensive. I was like, what's the point of the story then?
That's interesting.
It was just dumb. It was just not fun and not enjoyable.
I will also say, because I mentioned it the last couple of weeks, that I did watch The Boys, and I mean, if you've watched any of The Boys, you know it is definitely not a family-friendly show. And this season starts out making sure you remember that.
Yeah,
it's well written. There's a lot of kind of like what we were talking about, the sci-fi aspects of shows where they obfuscate ideas and issues from our world and present it in a different way to make you kind of re-examine it and see things in a different way. And I think they do that a lot because Homelander is very much a bad character, does a lot of terrible things, but they also do occasionally show things that make you empathize a little bit and realize that his life still does. There's parts of his life that do.
That's how you write good villains. You gotta
So
if your villain is logically consistent, it's interesting. Right? You don't have to agree with the logic, but as long as they have a reason for doing what they're doing, it makes it compelling.
Yeah. So, I won't go as far as to recommend it to anybody because boy, it has
great graphic,
a lot of filthy, a lot of graphic violence and other things, but especially the first episode of season 3. But it is well told, if nothing else. So, and is superhero stuff. It's kind of like, I was thinking about it this last time. I'm like, it's kind of a dark, like as dark of a take as Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart series is. It's like that, but darker.
Well, it's about hunting down superheroes.
It's
normies.
People.
Normies hunting down superpowered people. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Steelheart's really good.
Steelheart is awesome. Highly recommend. If you are intrigued by the concept but don't want to watch The Boys because of the content, the rest of the content, definitely check out Steelheart.
Yeah. Or Invincible. That's different, but Invincible.
Yeah, and it's not to the level of The Boys, but it's a violent one that goes into similar things there.
But it's okay because it's animated. So
yeah, exactly. You can get away with it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and the Invincible doesn't have like nudity and sexual stuff in it. So it's just gore. If you're okay with that, but you don't want to see boobies, you don't want to see
we're
boobies.
America.
Invisible, baby.
Yeah, we're American. We can't have any nudity, but gore, we're okay. It can be as gory as you want, as long as it's animated or against non-humanoids or there's no blood.
Also, the main character is half Asian, so if you don't watch it, you're racist, right?
There you go. Yep.
There you
Perfect. Half Asian and an alien.
Alien. This is a double. That was a double whammy. That's a top inclusion. It's woke.
Okay, I think we've definitely gotten way off topic. So I'm gonna have to call it a night if we keep going in this direction.
Well, let's talk about. All right, Jared. Let's get to this. I forgot to say congratulations. I mean, on the stream, I didn't say. Jared's getting married. Everybody, he found a nice little woman who's agreed to look past his glaring deficiencies.
I agree.
So congratulations, Jared. Thanks for always coming on my stream so much. I love you.
Thanks. You know, it's always good to be on. I love you too.
Well, that's about it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for listening to us, the sweet ramblings of nerdy things. And it was an adventure today. I liked it, and I'm gonna do more making fun of the show, but I was seriously, I had so many ideas. I only got through the first 2 episodes. I was just playing with myself, and it was like 8 minutes long. I don't want to have an intro longer than that. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you. Not next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks because I'm on a bachelor party and I'm doing a bunch of escape rooms in Colorado.
Nice. So, I'm riding horses on a ranch in southern Utah.
Nice.
Coming in direction, more or less.
Southern Utah. Are you in Hurricane or Laverican?
Ooh, close. So grandparents in Cedar, and it'll be just outside of Panguitch.
Panguitch. Let's. Hey, we got a new town. What do you want to call it? Let's call it Sandwich. Sandwich. I don't know. That's silly. Change it to a P.
Yeah, there we go. Now, much better. Much better.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll talk about if people have seen it. We'll talk about Thor, and if people have seen it, we'll talk about Strange New Brew, Strange Worlds, Brave New Worlds, Stranger Things, and if people and then we'll talk about another episode of Raised by Wolves.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.